faithfully delivering value, interpreting great books from around the world. Hello, this is Sally's Book Club. Today we'll cover the second half of Emperor Taizu of Song's biography. In part 1, we discussed how Zhao Kuangyin led China out of the Five Dynasties chaos through centralizing reforms after founding the Song Dynasty. Now, let's explore what civil and military achievements he accomplished after preventing Song from becoming the sixth short-lived dynasty. So, what civil and military achievements did Zhao Kuangyin accomplish after preventing Song from becoming the sixth short-lived dynasty? What profound impact did these accomplishments have on later generations? We'll still approach this in 3 parts. Part 1. How Zhao Kuangyin laid the foundation for the Song Dynasty's unparalleled civil governance. Part 2. How Zhao Kuangyin established China's socio-economic framework for the next millennium. Part 3. What's the truth behind the succession issues surrounding Zhao Kuangyin? First, Part 1. How Zhao Kuangyin diligently laid the foundation for the Song Dynasty's peak civil governance. At Song's founding, southern separatist regimes included Jingnan, Hunan, later Shu, southern Han, southern Tang, Huiyu, and Zhengquan in the north. Besides northern Han, the Yuyun regions occupied by its suzerain state Liao awaited recovery. To achieve unification, Zhao Kuangyin adopted later Zhu's Emperor Shizong's first south, then north strategy, prioritizing conquest of southern states. Zhao believed China's economic center had shifted southward since mid-Tang Dynasty, and with constant Five Dynasties warfare, the Central Plains couldn't confront powerful Liao. Thus, only by unifying the south first could sufficient resources be gathered for final unification. Following this strategy, Zhao launched his unification war in 963, and by 976, shortly before his death, Song had eliminated most southern regimes, with remaining Huiyu and Zhengquan soon surrendering. Northern Han was dying under Song's relentless attacks, and even the formidable Liao sought peaceful relations. Unification became inevitable. Compared to military feats, Zhao's Confucian-educated civil governance wasn't just comparable, it was superior. We'll examine Zhao's civil achievements through judicial reforms, establishing benevolent governance, and new economic policies. First, judicial reforms. During the Five Dynasties, judicial power, like administrative and fiscal authority, was often controlled by military governors. These people either didn't know the law or had no concept of fair enforcement, leading to a prominent issue in the judicial system at the time. And this resulted in laws being ignored, arbitrary enforcement, and frequent imposition of severe punishments. Zhao Kuangyin himself was once such a military man. During the later Zhou period, he captured Chuzhou City from southern Tang and imposed martial law there. To improve public security, Zhao Kuangyin rounded up over 100 thieves at once and planned to execute them all. But Zhao Pu, who served as Zhao Kuangyin's advisor then, argued that each thief should be interrogated before conviction. Zhao Kuangyin accepted the advice. After interrogation, it turned out many were falsely accused. This incident left a deep impression on Zhao Kuangyin. Thus, after becoming emperor, Zhao Kuangyin learned from this and adopted a cautious approach to punishment, especially for death sentences. The Jingzhou case in May 961 is a prime example of this. Jingzhou, located in southeast present-day Shanxi province, had an elderly man named Ma Kongqi during early Song, who was honest and kind. But his eldest son was a troublemaker who not only harassed the village, but even murdered his own clansmen. Ma Kongqi couldn't handle his son, so he, along with his wife and second son, killed the eldest son. According to early Song law, Ma and his wife, as parents killing their wicked son, should have been sentenced to 1.5 to 2 years in prison. The second son, as an accomplice, also didn't deserve death. However, the Jingzhou governor, knowing the law, deliberately executed all 3 on murder charges, which infuriated Zhao Kuangyin. He not only dismissed the governor but also exiled him to an island, causing a huge uproar nationwide. 4 months later, Zhao issued an edict demanding the reversal of wrongful convictions across the country, and the judicial situation began improving. If, to further improve the judicial system, Zhao organized officials to revise laws based on social changes, compiling the Song Criminal Code, while promoting judicial reforms. During the Five Dynasties period, civil judicial institutions were largely destroyed and military courts handled most civil cases. Both Zhao abolished these military courts and re-established civil judicial institutions staffed by civil officials. Zhao also mandated that local governments must report capital case files to the central government for review. After the central court, Dali Temple, decides a case according to law, it's sent to the Ministry of Justice for review. Only after they confirm no errors can it be passed to the Chancellor's office, Zhengshu Menxia, for final judgment. This is exemplified by the death penalty review system. During Zhao Kuangyin's era, the judicial system of the Song Dynasty took initial shape, and the concept of valuing evidence gradually became ingrained in people's minds. The judicial reforms centered on cautious punishment reflected Zhao Kuangyin's benevolent governing philosophy. This philosophy further shaped the enlightened political atmosphere of the Song Dynasty. Zhao Kuangyin was naturally open-minded and broad-minded, a character that deeply influenced the political environment of early Song. As Zhao Kuangyin's chief advisor, Zhao Pu felt this most deeply, and his role in a series of important decisions in the Song Dynasty was pivotal. In 964, Zhao Pu officially became the sole chancellor of the court, serving for 10 years, demonstrating Zhao Kuangyin's trust and reliance on him. For state affairs, Zhao Pu often contradicted Zhao Kuangyin. Once, he proposed appointing someone to a position, but Zhao Kuangyin disagreed. The next day, Zhao Pu raised the matter again, but Zhao Kuangyin still refused. On the third day, when Zhao Pu forcefully raised the issue again, Zhao Kuangyin flew into a rage, tore Zhao Pu's memorial, and threw it to the ground, but Zhao Pu remained calm and slowly picked it up. After returning home, he repaired it, and on the fourth day, presented it to Zhao Kuangyin again. This time, Zhao Kuangyin finally approved it. The person Zhao Pu recommended later proved very competent. Another time, an official performed meritoriously, and Zhao Pu suggested promoting him according to regulations. But because Zhao Kuangyin disliked the person, he angrily refused. Zhao Pu did not compromise, declaring that rewards and punishments belong to the realm, not just to your majesty. Enraged, Zhao Kuangyin turned and entered the palace, while Zhao Pu chased to the palace gate and waited. Finally, Zhao Kuangyin had to agree to Zhao Pu's request. It shows that Zhao Kuangyin, with his military background, had a bad temper and was quick to anger. Yet he could tolerate and even accept opposing views. This political tolerance was not only evident in Zhao Pu personally, but also reflected in shaping the entire political environment of the Song Dynasty. Legend has it that Zhao Kuangyin hid a stone tablet in the ancestral temple, inscribed with 3 oaths. The first oath states that no punishment should be inflicted on the descendants of Emperor Shizong of later Zhou. Even if they rebel, they can only be granted death in prison, not publicly executed, and their relatives must not be implicated. The second oath states that scholars and officials who speak out must not be killed. The last one states that any descendant of the Zhao family who violates the first 2 oaths shall be struck by lightning. These 3 articles became known as the Taizu Stone Tablet Precepts. The historical existence of the Taizu Stone Tablet has been debated since ancient times. However, scholars generally agree that its content genuinely reflects Song's political environment, rooted in the foundation Zhao Kuangyin established. Since the 5th century AD in Chinese history, new dynasties routinely executed deposed emperors and royal families, a bloody political tradition. Yet, after ascending the throne, Zhao Kuangyin spared Emperor Gong of later Zhou, and even surrendered monarchs from southern Han, northern Han, and Wei Yu lived peacefully. This policy was further developed by Zhao Kuangyin's successors. As later Zhou descendants, the Chai clan received preferential treatment for centuries. Hence, characters like Princess Chai in Generals of the Yang family and Chai Jin in Water Margin are portrayed as their descendants, their ending 5 centuries of political bloodshed. In comparison, the impact of not killing scholar officials and remonstrators was even greater. Apart from corrupt officials, Zhao Kuangyin never executed civil servants, nor killed anyone for dissenting opinions. Gradually, not killing scholar officials and remonstrators became a shared principle. This concept gradually became a consensus among Song emperors and officials. For example, during Emperor Zhezong's reign, when reformists and conservatives clashed fiercely, some reformists suggested executing opponents, but Emperor Zhezong refused, vowing to uphold ancestral principles against killing. And lovely, it was precisely this ancestral principle of not killing scholars that gave scholar officials security to establish themselves. Scholars widely regard Song as China's most enlightened dynasty, with this enlightenment elevating its civil governance to its peak, all founded by Emperor Taizu Zhao Kuangyin, though his prudence and benevolence primarily influenced only the Song era. But Zhao Kuangyin's new economic policies influenced nearly a millennium of subsequent Chinese history.
Part 2 discusses how Zhao's policies transformed China's socio-economic structure for the next 1,000 years.
Zhao's new economic policies mainly included 2 aspects: not restraining land annexation and revitalizing commerce. First, the non-restraint land policy meant the state no longer interfered with free land transactions. Since the Qin-Han dynasties, preventing excessive land concentration to maintain state authority had been government policy for about a millennium. Here we'll use the equal field system of the early Tang Dynasty as an example. Under this system, the government allocated land to farming households based on population. Land ownership didn't fully belong to individuals and typically couldn't be freely bought or sold. This greatly slowed land concentration. Peasants became dependent on the government, providing stable tax revenue and military conscripts. But by the mid-Tang period, the equal field system collapsed. On one hand, state exploitation remained heavy. The small-scale peasant economy was extremely fragile. Minor disruptions caused mass bankruptcies and flight. Recruiting new farmers incurred high administrative costs. Now, on the other hand, peasants needing money for weddings, funerals, or disasters wanted to sell land. The wealthy elite eagerly bought properties, letting sellers become tenant farmers, creating a real market. Well, the state reluctantly turned a blind eye, tacitly allowing private land ownership and free trade, abandoning direct peasant control. After founding the Song Dynasty, Zhao Kuangyin re-centralized power, yet he didn't revert to restraining land concentration. Instead, he embraced contemporary trends, becoming the first emperor to openly declare he wouldn't suppress land annexation. In 966, Zhao decreed that post-war wastelands wouldn't be state-distributed but open to all. Reclaimers gained ownership with tax exemptions, abandoning traditional land nationalization. In 969, Zhao required private land transactions to be notarized at government offices, which issued sealed contracts and collected fees. Now, the court not only stopped opposing land concentration, but became its official notary. The non-restraint land policy was thus legally formalized. Zhao's successors continued these policies. By mid-northern Song, private land comprised 98.63% of all territory. For nearly a millennium afterward, dynasties abandoned nationwide state land policies. Private ownership became entrenched, producing 2 profound consequences. First, the negative impact. Free land trade accelerated concentration through economic forces, worsening wealth gaps and triggering massive unrest, becoming a primary cause for Yuan, Ming, and Qing dynastic collapses. Now, however, not restraining land annexation also had very positive impacts. As the state stopped intervening in land economy, peasants' dependency weakened. They could move freely, some to sparsely populated areas, bringing intensive farming techniques that boosted agriculture. Others flowed into commerce, initiating the prosperity of commodity economy from Song onward. Since the Xianyang reforms in Qin, successive dynasties followed policies prioritizing agriculture over commerce. Among the four traditional classes, scholars, farmers, artisans, merchants ranked lowest. Even in open international Tang Dynasty, merchants faced discrimination. For example, merchants couldn't ride horses, wore restricted clothing, and their children were barred from imperial exams and official positions. Even limited commercial activities were often government-controlled. For instance, Tang Dynasty only permitted markets in county-level cities or above. Markets were separated from residential areas by walls, guarded by soldiers, open at dawn, closed at dusk. Commercial activities elsewhere or at other times were illegal. This was the ward market system. But by mid-Tang, market demand and scale kept expanding. The ward market system began loosening. Villages saw spontaneous markets called grass markets, while cities developed night markets. During the chaotic 5 dynasties, both imperial and regional soldiers were salaried professionals. Maintaining armies required massive currency. Realistically, allowing commercial development and taxing it directly solved military funding problems, highly advantageous. Legend says Zhao Kuangyin hid a stone tablet in the ancestral temple inscribed with 3 oaths. First, never punish descendants of Emperor Shizong of later Zhou. Even if they rebel, only grant death in prison, no public execution or family implication. Second, never kill scholar officials or remonstrators. Third, any Zhao descendant violating these shall be struck by lightning. These became known as the Taizu stone oaths. The historical existence of the Taizu stone oaths has been debated since ancient times, but scholars widely agree their content reflects Song's true political environment, rooted in the foundation Zhao Kuangyin established. In Chinese history since the 5th century AD, new dynasties routinely executed deposed emperors and royals, a bloody political tradition. After ascending the throne, Zhao Kuangyin did not execute Emperor Gong of Zhou, and even the surrendered monarchs of Southern Han, Northern Han, and Wu Yu lived peacefully in their later years. This policy was further developed by Zhao Kuangmin's successors. As descendants of the later Zhou imperial plan, the Chai family always received preferential treatment, so much so that characters like Princess Chai in Generals of the Yang family and Chai Jin in Water Margin are portrayed as their descendants, ending 5 centuries of political bloodshed. In comparison, the impact of not killing scholar officials and remonstrators was even greater. Apart from corrupt officials, Zhao Kuangyin never executed civil servants, nor killed anyone for dissenting opinions. Gradually, not killing scholar officials and remonstrators became a shared principle. This concept gradually became a consensus among Song emperors and officials. For example, during Emperor Zezong's reign, when reformists and conservatives clashed fiercely, some reformists suggested executing opponents, but Emperor Zezong refused, vowing to uphold ancestral principles against killing. It was precisely this ancestral principle of not killing scholars that gave scholar officials security to establish themselves. Scholars widely regard Song as China's most enlightened dynasty, with this enlightenment elevating its civil governance to its peak, all founded by Emperor Taizu Zhao Kuangyin, though his prudence and benevolence primarily influenced only the Song era. That Zhao Kuangyin's new economic policies influenced nearly a millennium of subsequent Chinese history. Part 2 discusses how Zhao's policies transformed China's socioeconomic structure for the next 1,000 years. Well, Zhao's new economic policies mainly included 2 aspects: not restraining land annexation and revitalizing commerce. First,
The non-restraint land policy meant the state no longer interfered with free land transactions.
Since the Qin-Han dynasties, preventing excessive land concentration to maintain state authority had been government policy for about a millennium. Here, we'll use the equal field system of the early Tang Dynasty as an example. Under this system, the government allocated land to farming households based on population. And land ownership didn't fully belong to individuals and typically couldn't be freely bought or sold. This greatly slowed land concentration. Peasants became dependent on the government, providing stable tax revenue and military conscripts. But by the mid-Tang period, the equal field system collapsed. On one hand, state exploitation remained heavy. The small-scale peasant economy was extremely fragile. Minor disruptions caused mass bankruptcies and flight. Recruiting new farmers incurred high administrative costs. And so, on the other hand, peasants needing money for weddings, funerals, or disasters wanted to sell land, while the privileged class eagerly bought properties, letting sellers become tenant farmers, creating a real market. The state reluctantly turned a blind eye, tacitly allowing private land ownership and free trade, abandoning direct peasant control. After founding the Song Dynasty, Zhao Kuangyin re-centralized power. Yet he didn't revert to restraining land concentration. Instead, he embraced contemporary trends, becoming the first emperor to openly declare he wouldn't suppress land annexation. In 966, Zhao decreed that post-war wastelands wouldn't be state-distributed but open to all. Reclaimers gained ownership with tax exemptions, abandoning traditional land nationalization. In 969, Zhao required private land transactions to be notarized at government offices, which issued sealed contracts and collected fees. Now the court not only stopped opposing land concentration, but became its official notary. The non-restraint land policy was thus legally formalized. Zhao's successors continued these policies. By mid-northern Song, private land comprised 98.63% of all territory. For nearly a millennium afterward, dynasties abandoned nationwide state land policies. Private ownership became entrenched, producing two profound consequences. First, the negative impact. Free land trade accelerated concentration through economic forces, worsening wealth gaps and triggering massive unrest, becoming a primary cause for Yuan, Ming, and Qing dynastic collapses. However, not restraining land annexation also had very positive impacts. As the state stopped intervening in land economy, peasants' dependency weakened. They could move freely, some to sparsely populated areas, bringing intensive farming techniques that boosted agriculture. Others flowed into commerce, initiating the prosperity of commodity economy from Song onward. Since the Shangyang reforms in Qin, successive dynasties followed policies prioritizing agriculture over commerce. Among the four traditional classes, scholars, farmers, artisans, merchants ranked lowest. Even in open, international Tang Dynasty, merchants faced discrimination. For example, merchants couldn't ride horses, wore restricted clothing, and their children were barred from imperial exams and official positions. Even limited commercial activities were often government-controlled. Tang Dynasty only permitted markets in county-level cities or above. Markets were walled off from residential areas, guarded by soldiers, open at dawn, closed at dusk. Commercial activities elsewhere or at other times were illegal. This was the ward market system. But by mid-Tang, market demand and scale kept expanding. The ward market system loosened. Villages saw spontaneous grass markets, while cities developed night markets. During the chaotic Five Dynasties, both imperial and regional soldiers were salaried professionals requiring massive currency. Realistically, allowing commercial development and taxing it directly solved military funding, highly advantageous. Thus, Five Dynasties factions established commercial tax agencies. Coastal regimes especially leveraged geography to encourage maritime trade for huge profits. After founding Song, Zhao Kuangyin recognized commercial tax importance and launched 4 policies to revitalize trade. First policy, elevating merchants' political status. In 960, the founding year of Song Dynasty, that year Zhao ordered checkpoints not to detain or harass merchants arbitrarily, nor search non-currency goods. Elevated status was proven during the Kaifeng strike. Zhao's favored spy, Shi Gu, falsely accused merchants, costing lives. In May 1974, Kaifeng merchants suddenly staged a daytime strike, protesting Shi Gui's persecution. Learning of this, Zhao immediately launched an investigation, then decreed specialized commercial laws would punish future violations but pardon past ones. Zhao also distanced himself from Shi Gui over this incident. Clearly, Zhao no longer saw merchants as lowly people to be exploited at will. Second policy, lifting business restrictions. Early Song, Zhao ordered that grass markets operate for public convenience without official interference. After legalization, rural markets rapidly expanded, forming nationwide networks with major cities. In 965, Zhao Kuangyin further decreed that night markets in Kaifeng couldn't be banned.
During festivals like Lantern Festival, Dragon Boat Festival, and Qixi, night markets even operated overnight.
By mid-northern Song, the ward market system completely collapsed. Zhao's third policy, establishing maritime trade offices to boost overseas commerce.
During 5 dynasties, southern coastal regimes actively encouraged overseas trade to increase revenue.
In February 971, Zhao sent Pan Mei to conquer southern Han in Guangdong Guangxi region, appointing him as Guangzhou's highest administrator.
By June, Zhao established a new maritime trade office in Guangzhou, specifically for managing overseas trade.
Pan Mei concurrently headed the office. Its rapid establishment and high status showed Zhao's extreme prioritization of foreign trade.
Janet, the office's key mission: attract foreign merchants. Zhao even mandated grand banquets to farewell departing ships. Later, Song established more offices across ports. Over 50 countries or regions traded with Song via maritime routes.
Zhao's final policy, enacting commercial tax regulations.
During 5 dynasties, exorbitant and chaotic commercial taxes severely obstructed goods circulation. In 960, Song's founding year, Zhao promulgated China's first nationwide commercial tax code, mandating public posting at all tax offices. Under Zhao's 4 policies, Song commerce flourished unprecedentedly. By late northern Song, bustling urban commerce appeared as depicted in Along the River during Qingming Festival. Merchant numbers surged dramatically. Kaifeng alone had 27,000 businesses with government loans. This transformed Song's fiscal structure. Commercial taxes rapidly grew to approximately 10% of state revenue during Song. At peaks, it reached 50%. Overseas trade also generated massive profits. By mid-northern Song, maritime revenue hit 500,000 strings of cash annually. By 1159, 2 million strings, 20% of state revenue. And these Song-era economic changes, commercial prosperity, megacities, and tax reliance, became the norm during Yuan, Ming, and Qing economic peaks. During Zhao Kuangyin's 16-year reign, the twin scourges of 5 dynasties, imperial guard mutinies, and warlord fragmentation, were largely resolved. Song was nearing unification. Benevolent governance emerged in judiciary and politics, while groundbreaking economic policies took effect. But his sudden death left many endeavors incomplete, likely explaining why his fame never matched Qin Shi Huang, Emperor Wu of Han, or Emperor Taizu of Tang. Since Song times, theories like the Golden Casket Pact and Candle Shadow Axe sound have surrounded Zhao's death and succession. So how did Zhao Kuangyin actually die? And what's the truth behind the imperial succession? This forms the final part of our book. In 976, 50-year-old Zhao Kuangyin died suddenly. The next day, his brother Zhao Guangyi ascended as Emperor Taizu of Song. Why did Zhao's brother become the second emperor instead of his son? This relates to their mother, Empress Dowager Du. In 961, Empress Dowager Du passed away. Legend says on her deathbed, she told Zhao Kuangyin, Later, Zhou fell to Song precisely because child Emperor Gongdi lacked experience. The realm needed an elder statesman. And thus, Empress Du demanded Zhao pass the throne to his brother after death.
Zhao Guangyi.
No Zhao Guangyi would pass to youngest brother Zhao Guanmei, then back to Zhao Kuangyin's son, Zhao Dezhao. Chancellor Zhao Pu documented this pact in a golden casket, hence Golden Casket Pact. The pact's existence and contents, if real, remain hotly debated.
This book's author believes the Golden Casket Pact was historical fact concerning imperial succession.
Specifically, after 3 successions returning to Zhao Kuangyin's son Dezhao, during the chaotic 5 dynasties, dynastic changes occurred frequently. For stability, people widely believed the state needed an elder statesman ruler, mature, experienced, and capable. Only such rulers could handle 5 dynasties' complex politics. Hence, emperors often bypassed sons for brothers or adopted heirs. Common practice then. When Zhao took power, 5 dynasties' problems remained unsolved. All believed Song would be the 6th short-lived regime, naturally favoring elder statesman succession to prolong its existence. And shortly after Empress Dowager Du passed away, Zhao Guangyi became the Kaifeng prefect, meaning he was the administrative head of Kaifeng. According to 5 dynasties custom, royal family members appointed as capital administrators were often groomed as successors, and the Song royal rankings always followed the order of Zhao Guangyi, Zhao Guanmei, Zhao Dezhao, and all of this aligned with the sequence in the Golden Casket Pact. However, Zhao Guangyi's position as heir was not secure. At court, many did not support the brother-to-brother succession principle, with Chancellor Zhao Pu being the most prominent opponent. Originally, Zhao Pu and Zhao Guangyi had a close relationship, but because Zhao Pu opposed Zhao Guangyi as heir, they became bitter enemies. Zhao Pu repeatedly attacked Zhao Guangyi, gaining the upper hand at times, but Zhao Kuangyin's attitude was intriguing. In 973, Zhao Pu was dismissed as chancellor, and Zhao Guangyi was enfeoffed as Prince of Jin, above the chancellor position, seeming that Zhao Kuangyin was striving to uphold Zhao Guangyi's quasi-heir status. However, Zhao Kuangyin was also attempting to promote his own sons. In February 1976, the king of Weiyu came to court. By convention, Zhao Kuangyin should have sent Zhao Guangyi to greet him, but this time he sent his 26-year-old eldest son, Zhao Dezhao. By March, Zhao Kuangyin traveled to his hometown Luoyang, expressing a desire to move the capital there. Luoyang had just undergone a major renovation, overseen by the father-in-law of Zhao Kuangyin's second son, Zhao Defang. Previously, whenever Zhao Kuangyin left Kaifeng, he would have Zhao Guangyi stay behind to guard the capital. However, this time Zhao Guangyi was required to accompany him. Zhao Guangyi, who had painstakingly built his power base in Kaifeng, realized Zhao Kuangyi might be using the capital move to shake off or even dismantle his influence, so he vehemently opposed it. Thus, the relocation plan came to nothing. Late one night in late October, Zhao Kuangyin suddenly died, leading many to speculate about his delicate relationship with Zhao Guangyi, prompting Song people to record the candle shadow axe sound in their notes. Regarding the legend of candle shadow axe sound, Song people had multiple versions. Here we introduce the most widely circulated one. A Taoist priest prophesied that Zhao Kuangyin would die on a snowy night in late October. That night, with heavy snowfall, Zhao Kuangyin urgently summoned Zhao Guangyi to the palace, then dismissed attendants to drink and reminisce privately. During the banquet, Zhao Kuangyin enthusiastically urged drinking, but Zhao Guangyi, unable to hold his liquor, rose to avoid the seat, their silhouettes cast on the window by candlelight. This is the candle shadow.
Later, Zhao Kuangyin grasped a ceremonial axe, pounding the ground while shouting, "Do well!"
This became the axe sound. That night, after Zhao Guangyi left the palace, Zhao Kuangyin passed away.
Empress Song then sent a trusted eunuch to summon her youngest son Zhao Defang,
But the eunuch went to Prince Jin's residence instead, bringing Zhao Kuangyin. Thus, Zhao Kuangyin became the second emperor of Song Dynasty. This version of candle shadow axe sound comes from Li Tao's Southern Song historical work, Long Draft of Continuation of ZZ Tongjian. Though Li Tao synthesized sources and removed implausibilities, the story remains riddled with doubts. Did the event actually happen? Whether Zhao Guanyi killed his brother to usurp the throne remains an eternal mystery. Yet none of this disrupted political stability or social peace. After Zhao Kuangyin's death, the throne transitioned smoothly without military conflict or bloodshed. In age, political experience, capability, and quasi-heir status, Zhao Guangyi was indeed more suitable than Zhao's sons to inherit Song's foundation. Thereafter, northern Song emperors descended from Zhao Guangyi until southern Song, when Emperor Gaozong's childlessness restored succession to Zhao Kuangyin's line. Though Emperor Taizu of Zhao Kuangyin ruled only 16 years, he deeply imprinted his legacy on the 300-year Song Dynasty.
Strengthening centralization transformed Song fundamentally.
No more dynastic changes from mutinies or warlord conflicts. The enlightened political atmosphere restrained autocracy, creating imperial scholar governance that enabled economic prosperity and cultural flourishing. But Zhao's suppression of military leaders was excessively amplified by successors, ultimately weakening Song's martial prowess. All right, this concludes our interpretation of Biography of Emperor Taizu. Find reading notes below the audio. Until next time,